Greetings, students. Today we're going to talk about a valuable tool. A Harvard professor named Francis Aguilar created this form of analysis. This analysis enables you to look at the external environment and look at the factors which affect strategy, organization, and the way we use it to begin to understand the need for change, and also to give you information on ways that you may need to change. It's called the PEST. PEST, political, economic, social, and technological, or technology. Now, others have contributed to this, and they've expanded it a bit from the original conceptualization. The PEST has actually, for some, and I'm one of those, has turned into the PESTLE. PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E. I'll just write it up here so you'll see what we're talking about here. PESTLE. And yes, some people spell it P-S-T-E-L, doesn't matter. PESTLE, political, economic, social, technological, technology, legal, environmental. Those are the additions. And of course, your professor here has now created his own addition to this. And so I've created the PESTLE plus E. I need to publish it before someone else publishes it. Plus E. What in the heck is plus E? Well, for me, it's education. Now, somebody might say, well, education falls under social, or education falls under, something else here. But I say, you know what? It needs its own category because, no bias here, education is a critical factor. Educational systems are critical factors to organizational life and the success of organizations. There you have it. So it's PESTLE plus E. You can remember that, I'm sure. So let's talk about these things for a little bit, all right? First, political, okay? Political. What's involved here? Well, you're talking about government, stability of government, composition of government, how government's operating, structure of government. All these are things that affect organization. Your political environment affects organization. For example, if the Congress is held in a certain party versus who's in the executive branch, you could have tension, you could have difficulty between the two, and that could create an impact on business. The political side of government could be supportive of business. It could be one where they are hostile to business. The political activities which occur at, yes, the federal, the state, and the local level affect business. Pretty simple stuff, huh? The next one is economic. I stuttered for a moment because sometimes when I start to think about economic, I think about the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is kind of governmental, but it's not governmental, but yes, it is governmental. It governs governmental policies, but we know the Federal Reserve affects economic outcomes. The stock market, yes, stock market. Interest rates, all of these things and more, all right? If the stock market is up, does that help business? Does that hinder business? If the stock market is down, does that help or hinder business? How is our share price? Is it good, bad? How about other economic factors like employment rate? Employment rate low, employment rate high. Does that affect business? So economic factors affect your organization, yes? Now, the S is one I could talk about all day, but I'll be very short on this. The social part of the PESTLE is population, yes, large population, small population, culture, yes, culture, societal norms, preferences among people, what do people support, what people don't support, what things people believe are right, what people think are wrong. That's social. That can affect business. Another one is pretty easy to talk about. That's technological or technology. Anybody ever heard of 5G? Now, if this is still playing in 10 years, somebody would say, why in the heck are you talking about that outdated technology? Well, that's the point, is that what is relevant today will not be necessarily relevant tomorrow. Yes, I'm so old that I remember TVs with tubes, cathode ray tubes. Yes, but we don't have those. Well, I guess we do, depending on where you are. But the bottom line is that this technology has changed, and so it affected how organizations acquire and use technology, yes. Software changes, yes. Beyond that, AI, the cloud, 3D printing, technology is continually changing, and yes, those changes affect organization. Legal. Now, sometimes legal and political are together, right? It's the political people who make the laws. But with the legal, we're being more specific, such as if the cost of healthcare is increasing and the government people create a program to reduce cost for the consumer, perhaps that's good for business, but if it increases cost for business, it might be bad for business. Legal. Well, this is things like laws which say what we can do, how we can hire, how we can fire. We are in Indiana, a state which is called an at-will state. So technically, you can let go of a person for any reason at any time if they're not under a contract. The legal framework which guides our work, civil rights laws, are part of that legal affects how organizations operate. The E, the other E, okay? Environmental. Now, this could be a debate if we were having a debate, whether there's climate change and that type of thing, right? Well, here's the thing. If the climate is rising, that could affect business. I can take you back to a time where rivers and lakes in the U.S. were polluted severely, and that was having implications on how business operated. So the legal framework came into place, something called the Clean Water Act, which changed some of the practices of businesses, but it actually benefited people, which is an environmental scenario that helped the society. Oh yeah, what am I saying now? I'm saying these things all work together. They work together, and as a student of organization, as a person who's trying to understand change, you want to understand what's going on in the political, the economic, the social, the technological, the legal, the environmental, because then you will need to think through the changes that you may need to make to adjust, to adapt, to go with, to follow, to get ahead of political, economic, social, technological, legal, external environment activities. And last but not least, my baby called PESTLE-E. All right, now, yes, education. What is the education system producing? Is the education system producing the right skills we need for employees? Do we have to go outside the country to bring in the right skills if we don't have the skills produced by our own education system? Are those people in the education system coming out with the work ethic that we need? That's a social factor. Have work ethics changed over time? But education may have an influence on work ethic, which may affect the type of employees that we hire. Are people willing to work 60, 70 hours a week? Societal change may say, no, I want to have a life, which, hey, maybe that means that when they go through the education system, they are gaining greater understandings or different ways of seeing things too. Social and education often work together. My point being, education is a strong influence on organization. So to summarize, the PESTLE-E plus, or PESTLE+E. The PESTLE+E, political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental, and education, plus education, these are factors that as an organizational change, organizational development person, a strategic leader, you must be aware of the activity in these broad areas, and that then helps you to think through the types of organizational change that you may move forward with. Thank you.